Hey, there isn't going to be any relevant video for this, so just treat it like a mini podcast and listen to it in the background while you do your laundry or whatever. As of the date of this video, I've been a dungeon master for D&D for about 6 years, and I like to think I've learned a lot during that time. So I'm going to share some of the generalized advice that I wish I knew when I first started. I think the thing that will always remain relevant, no matter what version of the game you play, who you play it with, or when you play, is that shit happens. This is going to be true both in and out of game. We're all people playing this, unless you're AI, so eventually life, gets in the way. People are going to cancel, whether their excuse is valid or not. Things are going to happen that make you have to stop mid-session. People might even drop out of the campaign entirely. That's all just the nature of the beast. I'm not saying you have to like it. I don't even like it. But it's going to happen to you if it hasn't already. And the thing you need to remember is that it is okay. It's going to be okay. Just take a deep breath, let out a primal roar, and prep some stuff for the next session. If it's something you can fix, try to fix it. If it's not, well, some things just aren't meant to be. Speaking of the sessions though, let me bring up how shit can go wrong in-game. You may have noticed this already, but sometimes the dice either really want something to happen or really will not allow it. When you introduce randomness to a game, all kinds of shit is going to happen. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. But the point is that there are just some things that you can't plan or prepare for. This goes for the players and the DM. Maybe the players didn't account for X happening in the background, or maybe the DM didn't expect the players to do Y. That's natural, and it's just another part of the game. If the players go just a little bit off course into some slightly uncharted territory, it's okay, and even encouraged, to improvise what you need in that moment. Obviously, that's a bit of a judgment call, but a decent chunk of being a dungeon master is going to involve doing some improv. If it's not something you do much, try it every now and then so you can build up the improv muscle in your brain. David Bowie once said, in reference to creating art, "If you feel safe in the area that you're working in, you're not working in the right area. Always go a little further into the water than you feel you're capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth. And when you feel your feet aren't quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting." That's true for a lot of things in life, but especially so for D&D since it is a form of art. Sometimes you will create your best stuff when you're pushing your boundaries or when you're in a position where you need to take some kind of action. Now, with that being said, don't be afraid to end a session early. If you run out of prepared material, or your players decide to go in a wildly different direction that you're absolutely not prepared for, it's okay to call it quits and regroup when you can prep some more stuff for them. You're not a robot, unless you're AI, again. You won't be able to just print new material on demand in an instant. If your players aren't jerks, which is a separate problem, they'll understand. It's a game. And you need to remember that you, as the DM, are a player in this game too. Your fun and enjoyment matters just as much as anyone else's. If something isn't working, like running out of material, talk to your players. If you're not enjoying something, talk to your players. If you think something needs to change, you probably guessed it, talk to your players. Collaboration is something that I bring up in a lot of my advice videos, and that's because it is genuinely such a crucial part of a good D&D game. D&D isn't the DM versus the players. It's a combined, collaborative effort. The DM portrays the world and the NPCs, whether they are helpful or hostile, and the players inhabit that world with their characters. Always try to work with your players about any issues that pop up. And that goes both ways too, meaning the players need to work with the DM. But this is mostly about DM advice, so yeah. While we're on the subject of players, here's something. Your players are going to be stupid. Really stupid. But they're also going to be geniuses. The things that you might think are easy might end up being nearly impossible to figure out, even if the solution is in plain sight. Sometimes that's because you, as the DM, have full context of the situation, so you can see the full picture. Sometimes the dice just aren't on the player's side. Sometimes the solution really was under their nose the entire time, but for whatever reason, they missed it. Regardless of the cause, your players are 100% going to get stumped by something trivial. And inversely, sometimes they're going to trample all over a thing you were worried would be impossible. Maybe the dice gods do love your players. Maybe they thought of some wacky but airtight plan and executed it perfectly. Or maybe they just got really lucky and stumbled into the correct solution for something completely by accident. It all ties back to shit happens. Now, something that's somewhat related to that idea is that you need to learn to let go of good ideas that don't fit anymore. Things change. The game evolves as it goes, and so do you as the dungeon master. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can put all kinds of cool plot hooks and encounters in front of your players, but if they're really focused on Bungor the Orc Blacksmith's backstory that you casually made up on the spot, then maybe it's best to steer the story in the direction that the players are headed. Although I'm not saying you need to take the entire idea you had and throw all of it in the garbage. You can save it for later, or even salvage parts of it and combine it into Bungor the Orc Blacksmith's new journey. That's why I think it's best to not plan too far ahead. You can have vague ideas of where you think the game is headed, but if you plan for certain things to be concrete set in the future, then all you're doing is setting yourself up for a headache when the players decide they want to go be pirates instead. Here's the thing, if you're worried about wasting a really good idea, don't be. Like I said, you can reuse it in the future, but also, if you're capable of thinking of one good idea, you can think of more. I promise that more good stuff is going to come to you if you keep at it. Sure, some of the ideas will suck, maybe even a lot of them, but as you hone your DMing skills, you're going to get better at turning anything into good D&D material. Yeah, Bungor the Orc Blacksmith stuff might just be a meme right now, but you can just as easily turn it into something that your players really connect with. It's okay to let go of what could be and focus on what is right now. Speaking of what could be, do yourself a favor and take notes during the session. If something happens that will have some kind of consequence in the future, it's very easy to forget it among all the other stuff that's going on. This goes for things that affect the player characters, but also NPCs and the world too. I like to keep a page for each of my players' characters that lists anything ongoing or any potential consequences awaiting them in the future. Write it down during the session, or immediately after, because you will absolutely forget sometimes. Continuing with note-taking, extensive notes will work for some people, while bullet points work for others. Each of them has their pros and cons. Extensive notes are, as they probably sound, good for having a bunch of things precisely laid out as you imagine them, but they can sometimes be a hassle to search through if you're looking for a very specific note of something. They can also take a lot more time to write out, so there's definitely a time cost to them. If it starts to feel like a chore, maybe consider the bullet point approach. Short descriptions worded in a way that will instantly jog your memory and make you remember the original idea, kind of like unzipping or extracting a file. Bullet points are better for a shorter prep time, but they can be a double-edged sword. That more loose style doesn't tie you down to precise and specific ideas, but you're also in for some trouble if the players go outside the bounds of those notes and you have to start making stuff up. For me, it's something I'm divided on. I genuinely loathe having to type out my notes, but I also like my stuff being precisely laid out because I know exactly how I want something to be or appear in the game. Balancing your time and effort for your preparation is a skill that will take some time to fine-tune. There isn't much of a solution for it other than to look at an idea objectively and judge whether it's worth the time or the effort it will take to translate that idea into the game. You'll discover what works for you. The last thing I'm going to mention for this is that if you feel like you have a pretty solid group of people to play with and you almost never have problems, don't take that for granted. Take a moment and be very appreciative of that because that's a truly lucky thing to have. There are so many people out there that would kill to have that. I'm not saying you should write a letter to your group expressing your deep and immense gratitude, but just give yourself a moment every now and then to look around and enjoy what you have. Because years down the road, those memories with your group are probably gonna be some of the good times that you look back on with a smile. And if you don't have that right now, keep looking. The right group is out there waiting to be made. It might take a while to find them, but you'll only find them if you keep looking. That's all I've got for now. It's been a pretty good 6 years of D&D for me, so here's hoping for 6 more.